I'm convinced that Curt Cignetti never sleeps because the recruiting trail is on fire for the Hoosiers.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day and the nation's #1 sports podcasting network. So thank you so much for making that so. Also, thank you for being here today. And if you want to help support the show, help us grow in any way, the few ways you can do that, like the video, comment down below on YouTube, and also follow us on your audio podcasting platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. Well, we're going to talk college basketball later on in today's show because the Big Ten tournament bracket is officially set. We know who Indiana might play, and we know when the Hoosiers will play, but what team do we want to see, and what does Indiana have to do to try and get to the big dance? We'll talk about all of that in the second and third segments on today's show. But we start the episode with Indiana football recruiting because the Hoosiers just never stop. And Curt Cignetti and his coaching staff continue to prove that they never sleep. They never stop working. They never stop looking to improve and get better. And high school recruiting is this thing now where teams like Indiana are hitting it hard, but they're not fully relying on it because we've been so successful and so good in the transfer portal that you don't have to go and get 30 to 35 kids in high school recruiting anymore. You just don't have to do it, but you still need to build pipelines. You still want to have connections, and you still want to be working several years in the future. Indiana's already talking to 2029 kids. You have several 2028s who are wanting to come and visit, and several in the class of 2027 that are setting visits over the next several weeks here in late March into April, so on and so forth. And the position I want to highlight today is with a guy out of Washington, D.C. He's a top 30 running back in the country. He's labeled as the best player in the area, and he has set an official visit for the Indiana Hoosiers. And dude, his name is just awesome. His name is fantastic, okay? Again, a 3-star running back, 6 foot tall, 213 pounds in the class of 2027, Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes. That's right, Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes. How awesome is that name? He's considered, again, a top 30 running back in the country, the #1 player out of Washington, D.C. He's got offers from Big Ten schools, SEC schools, ACC schools. He's got offers from everywhere, and he'll be in Bloomington here in the next coming weeks. And it'll be on March 24th that he will be at Indiana for an unofficial visit. He was supposed to come back in late January. Some weather problems caused this to be rescheduled. So an unofficial visit for Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes, who is excited to see Indiana, has several quotes out there right now about his excitement for Indiana as a school on the academic side, which I think is fascinating, but also with the production that the Hoosiers have had at running back. Now, you turn on the film of this guy, he runs extremely hard. He's very quick, he's agile, and can get north and south very quickly. I think he is someone who hits the gaps well. I think if you give him space, he's going to take advantage of you. Not exactly your bowling ball against 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's going to be more of your speedster, sort of a catch it out of the backfield and outrun you rather than let me just wall up and run you over. He absolutely can if you need him to, but he's more of a get me out in space and let me go to work type of guy, which Indiana has been very successful at doing. But that's the point I want to make today is, man, we talk so much about Indiana being a destination location for quarterback and receiver, and now especially on the defensive side of the football, right on the defensive line and the secondary and things like that. But, man, you got kids like him talking about the production that Indiana's had at running back, and I think that's right. I think we should talk more about this, and the fact that Indiana's going after solid players like him should show you that kids want to come and play at Indiana, specifically at the running back position. Because The Hoosiers have proven, unless they are just desperate and have to because of injury or transfers or whatever the case may be, Indiana's not going to have just one dude that they rely on from August to January. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to have a guy that they run for 1,400 yards and 28 times a game, and he is your workhorse. He is your everything. Indiana's offense doesn't work that way. And let's be real, that's not an efficient way to play football nowadays. Indiana wants to have 2, 3, even 4 guys in the room that they can rely on at any given time. Going into last year, it was Roman Hemby, Kalon Black, Lee Beebe Jr., and Kobe Martin. Of course, Lee Beebe Jr. went out, and Roman Hemby and Kalon Black were incredible, so you were able to lean on those 2 guys pretty heavily. But when you're talking to kids like Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes, you bring him in and say, look, you're going to be part of a group. You're going to be part of a room. You can be RB1, but we're going to rely on everybody. This is a group effort here. And the fact that guys like him, again, a top 30 running back in the nation, knows that, appreciates that, and still wants to be a part of it, that's a really big deal. So I think Indiana can sell that and use that. Again, we talk about the tools in the tool belt, right? For Curt Cignetti, I think you sell that to these kids and you just be honest with them. It's on film. You can't hide it from them, and you don't want to, obviously. But hey, you come here, you're a part of a room, you're a part of a group. We're not going to run you into the ground, but we're going to develop you. You're going to be a part of one of the nation's best offenses, one of the nation's best teams. We're going to compete for championships, and we'll do whatever we can to get you to the NFL. Sounds like a pretty good selling point to me if you're a running back in high school recruiting. So Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes is one of those guys. Again, March 24th, or March 28th, actually, is when he'll be here. March 28th is when he'll be here, an unofficial visit to Indiana. So late March is exciting. Keep an eye on mid-April and late April, too, for more big-time recruits. You've got linebackers and receivers and defensive linemen coming to see Indiana. But the one that has become official as of this week is Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes. Again, he's a top 30 player, the number 1 player in Washington, D.C. He's a 3-star running back. And please don't get hung up on that, okay? Please don't get hung up on, oh, he's only a 3-star. Aren't we better than that? We just won a national championship. Can't we do better than a 3-star? Are we really going to question what Curt Cignetti and Coach Shanahan and Coach Haynes on the defensive side, are we really going to question who they're going after in recruiting? I'm not. I don't care if they go after somebody that's never played football in their life. If Indiana says we want you and we're interested, cool. I'm interested. I want him, and I'm going to talk about him. I think he's someone that is a Kalon Black-esque, maybe even a Kobe Martin-esque, right? And I think you should be excited about this. He's visiting, still a long way to go, but keep an eye, okay, on Da'Jon Talley-Rhodes. Yes, he's first-team all-name, which is awesome, but I think he would fit the system perfectly for Indiana, and the running back position should be in good hands moving forward for the Hoosiers. All right, when we come back here on Locked On Hoosiers, we will go to the hardwood. We'll talk a little basketball because the Big Ten tournament is set. It starts today on Tuesday, plus Indiana will play either Northwestern or Penn State. We talk about all of that coming up right after this. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move right along with it. I always knew the game, right? But never had a dynamic way to really apply all of that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time. I know, it's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot, okay? Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient for you. Sitting in a waiting room with all the stacks of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar that you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. All right, welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. Shout out to those of you who have subscribed to the YouTube channel already. If you haven't, it's easy. Click the button, hit your thumb, and click it. You'll be notified every time we post an episode when we go live after games as well. We'll be doing that throughout the Big Ten tournament, hopefully in the NCAA tournament as well for Indiana basketball. So be sure you do that. Follow us on your audio podcasting platforms as well. And hey, want to remind you and let you know of something cool going on, that if you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club that we got going on for Locked On Hoosiers, now is the time. Again, you can get ad-free shows and access to our group on a Discord server. So you're going to get our show ad-free every single day. Plus, you're going to get access to a Discord server. It's a group chat. We talk during games. We talk after games. We talk recruiting. We talk football. We talk everything in there, and you can be a part of that. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool right now on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch and a whole lot more. It's going to be a ton of fun. So right now, you can use the code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to our link, okay? You can find it in the show description, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. You'll find Locked On Hoosiers there. So use the code MARCH. You're going to get your first month free by checking out the link in the description below and become a part of our Everydayer Club. And I told you we're talking basketball in there. We're talking basketball here today as well, because the Big Ten tournament is set. And man, it's crazy to look at the bracket nowadays, because with so many daggum teams in here, you've got 18 teams. All the teams make the tournament, and it runs from Tuesday to Sunday. Tuesday to Sunday is what the Big Ten tournament is. And look, I think there is a conversation to be had about some teams not making the Big Ten tournament. I think there could be a way for that, or I think maybe even an argument for that. I mean, do we really think that Penn State belongs in the Big Ten tournament? Do we really think Oregon, God bless them, they had so many injuries, but do we think they really should be playing in this? Do we really want to play that many games over the stretch of 6 days, 5 or 6 days? I mean, it's insane to think about, but that's a conversation for a later time. And so you've got all sorts of stuff going on in here. Okay, Michigan's the 1 seed. Nebraska, I still can't explain what the heck they are. They're the 2 seed. Michigan State is the 3 seed. Illinois is the 4 seed. Okay, that's fine. But then it starts to get weird. How about this? You've got Wisconsin. Okay, Wisconsin as the 5 seed because of what they did in the regular season finale, beating Purdue, by the way. UCLA is the 6, Purdue is the 7, and Ohio State is the 8. You move along, Iowa is the 9. Your Indiana Hoosiers are the 10. Minnesota is 11. You have Washington as the 12. And then, am I missing? Oh, USC's 13. Rutgers is 14. You then have Northwestern at 15. You have Oregon at 16, Maryland 17, and Penn State at 18. But you need to keep an eye on Penn State and Northwestern. We're going to talk about those 2 teams in our final segment because they play tonight, and the winner of that game will take on your Indiana Hoosiers on Wednesday evening there in Chicago. So we'll talk about Penn State Northwestern in just a moment. But, man, you know the Big Ten's all out of whack when you've got Purdue as the 7 seed, Nebraska's the 2 seed, UCLA decided to catch fire down the stretch, and Wisconsin is a sneaky good team. I don't know what to think about this tournament. I still believe that Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten. I think Michigan is still the best team in the country. I do. I think Michigan is still the best team in the nation. They will probably be my pick to win the national championship, even though they lost to Duke a couple of weeks ago. I think Michigan's a more complete team than Duke is. But here's the thing. You start looking at a team. I mean, look at the top 4 teams in the Big Ten tournament that have a triple bye. That's ridiculous. They don't need this tournament. They don't need the Big Ten tournament. They could care less about having to travel to Chicago and play in a game or 2 or 3. Doesn't do them any good. They're not going to move up. They're not going to move down, right? A team like Ohio State, they might want to win a game just to secure their spot in the tournament, but I think beating Indiana did that. I think handling their business down the stretch did that. Wonder what that feels like. Wisconsin, they're pretty solid in the tournament. I forget where they are in the latest bracketology. I want to say like a 6, 7 seed, maybe somewhere in there, but they're not going to move up. Purdue, I don't think they're going to move up. And UCLA, I think they're solidly in as well. Then you get to the teams that play on Wednesday. Iowa in the tournament. USC, not. Washington, not. Rutgers, no. Minnesota, no. Then there's Indiana. Then there's the Hoosiers. Really the only team in this Big Ten tournament that is looking to move up and or in to the big tournament, right? To the NCAA tournament. And it's going to take a win over either Penn State or Northwestern. Then you have Purdue. Okay, Purdue is the team waiting on you on Thursday if you win. Does a win over Purdue get you into the NCAA tournament? I don't know. Have no idea. Because even if you win that game, then you go and play Nebraska, a team that you should have beaten in the regular season, but you didn't because you were on fire in the first half and went ice cold and your defense fell apart in the second half, right? Remember that game? That was fun. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know what Indiana has to do in the Big Ten tournament, which that's great analysis, right? That's probably why you tune in. No, I'm kidding. We just don't know because the NCAA tournament committee shuts their mouth. They also turn the TVs off and they don't watch. So for Indiana, there is one sure way to get into the NCAA tournament, and that's to win the whole Big Ten tournament by beating either Penn State or Northwestern, Purdue, Nebraska, probably Michigan State, and then some combination of Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, or Wisconsin. That's the only 100% way to get into the NCAA tournament. But here's my monopoly money that I'm handing you. I'm not putting it on Indiana to do that, okay? And I'm sure you probably aren't doing that either. But does a win over Purdue and Nebraska, a couple of the quad one games, does that get you into the big dance? Maybe. But in years past, the conference tournaments have meant nothing. They've meant nothing. So I just don't know. But Indiana can't have that mindset. They can't worry about that. We have to go in and try and win some games and give the tournament committee a reason not to put us in. Right? But make them have a conversation about Indiana because we talked on yesterday's show about the bubble this past weekend, how every single team on it, all 9 teams who were considered on the bubble with a chance to get into the tournament with a win, they all lost. So I think there is a conversation this week that conference tournaments actually matter for some of those teams, including our Indiana Hoosiers. So again, coming up in our final segment, we're going to talk Penn State, Northwestern, that game taking place tonight. That game in Maryland, Oregon coming up on Peacock. But we'll talk about which team Indiana wants to see, what happened the first time and all that. But you got to win that game. Man, you go one and done, I promise you, you're out. I promise you, you are out of the NCAA tournament because of what you've done down the stretch, right? Because of what Indiana has done as of late, just loss after loss after loss, looking terrible, including one of that Northwestern team. You've given the tournament committee a horrible taste in their mouths. And if you go one and done in the Big Ten tournament, you may as well not even watch the selection show on Sunday. But you win that game, you upset Purdue, you're on the national stage against Nebraska on a Friday night. Maybe so. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they toss you a bone. I don't know. If you can get to the weekend, then maybe that's enough but you got to win your first game, and you're going to have to upset Purdue to do it. It would be sweet to do so, but Purdue is going to give you everything they got. Even though that team has really struggled down the stretch, they're better than you, so you're going to have to upset them. But there's your Big Ten tournament bracket. That's what it looks like. And again, Indiana awaits the winner of Penn State and Northwestern, two teams whose records are terrible, but one of them beat the Hoosiers. We'll talk about what those two teams are, what they bring, and which one Indiana should want to play or could play tomorrow. We'll have that right after this on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is a nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now, FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay that you want. Rivalry games, tournament games, ranked games, whatever the case may be, then you apply a profit boost to it and instantly bump up the potential payout, right, for odds. So for Indiana coming up, either Penn State or Northwestern, I would like to think Indiana is going to be favored in that game tomorrow, but you never know. But if you think Indiana wins, cool. Combine that with some of these other games going on in the tournament, and you can have a pretty good payout thanks to our friends at FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And I told you yesterday, and I'm going to keep hammering this one because it's just so darn good. The blue raspberry. It's like a blue piece of candy, right? The sweet candy, the hard candy we ate growing up, but it's in liquid form. There's no sugar, but you get the energy that you're looking for. It's got the sweet and tangy flavor, but you just can't make it up, man. It's just so smooth. It's so delicious, and it's clean with a sweet finish as well. Blue raspberry is a go-to for me right now, and it can be for you as well, okay? Thanks to our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online and at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. All right, final segment here on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, check out our Everydayer Club. The link for that is in the description below. Use the code MARCH, and you're going to get your first month free. You're going to get able to enter our bracket challenge. You're going to get this show ad-free and access to our Discord server as well. So do that. Check out the link below and use the code MARCH. And we got a game tonight. We got two games tonight. Maryland, Oregon in the Big Ten tournament, and Penn State and Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament. I could care less about Maryland, and actually I could not care any less about Maryland and Oregon. But us Hoosier fans will be watching Penn State and Northwestern because the winner of that game is who Indiana will play on Tuesday evening, or on Wednesday evening, tomorrow, Wednesday evening at around 5:30, 4:30, right, all that stuff there in Chicago. And with this, right, we're going to watch it, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to analyze it, and then we'll know who Indiana's going to play. Based off what happened in the regular season, we are cheering for Penn State for several reasons. One, they're the 18 seed. They're the worst team in the Big Ten. They're terrible, okay? They did get a win against Iowa down the stretch, but they're still not a very good basketball team. And if you remember what happened the first time Indiana and Penn State played, they only played once this year, and it was way back in December, on December 9th, right, in that early stretch of Big Ten games. Some of you may have forgotten what happened in this game. Let me remind you. Indiana just blitzed Penn State in this matchup, 113-72. This was the historic game for Lamar Wilkerson. This was the best game of his career, not just at Indiana, of his career, I think, when he went off for 44 points, breaking records inside of Assembly Hall. 44 points. He went 16 of 22 from the floor, 10 of 15 from behind the arc. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. Indiana put up 58 in the first half, 55 in the second half. You also quietly got 18 points from Reed Bailey, 17 from Tatum Connerway, 13 from Nick Dorn, and 12 from Tucker DeVries, but you just didn't need it. Lamar was nuclear in this game. Penn State never had a chance. Indiana ran out from the gate, and Penn State was out of it before it even started. So the good news is that was a lot of fun, and that was cool to cover, cool to talk about, and cool to kind of soak in, right, to bounce back from a couple of losses against Minnesota and Louisville. Problem with that is you didn't really get to see what Penn State could do in that game. And we knew at the time they were not going to be a great Big Ten team. We knew they weren't going to be in the upper echelon or even in the middle of it, and turns out they're the worst team in the league. But that's not a good evaluation. You're not allowed to turn the film on in that game and try to predict what a matchup could look like tomorrow against Indiana and Penn State. Just not able to do it. You could turn on other games of Penn State, and I can tell you that their defense is atrocious. Okay, it's one of the worst in P5. Their tempo is terrible. Their offense is fine. It's not good, but it's okay. But Indiana wants to play Penn State. We do not. I repeat, do not want to play Northwestern. We'll talk about them in a moment. Here's the numbers really quickly on Penn State that you need to know about. All right, Penn State as a team, I just had it. Where'd they go? According to KenPom, there they are. In KenPom, Penn State is 94th in offensive rating. They are 232nd in defensive rating. Their tempo is 174. They are horrible, okay? Now, they've had some dudes in and out of the lineup, okay? Guys you need to know, DeLeon the guard, Mingo the guard, Reed and Jurek the forwards. Those are guys Mingo's kind of been in and out of the lineup. He didn't play 2 games ago. I believe he played in the finale against Rutgers. This team is okay at scoring. They're terrible at rebounding. They turn it over double-digit times a game. They are not a great shooting team. 3-point percentage is horrific. Penn State's not a good basketball team. But Indiana's not going to put up 113 points in Chicago. They're just not going to do it. And then on the other side, it's Northwestern. It's Northwestern. And we know what happened just a couple of weeks ago when Northwestern came to Assembly Hall and handed Indiana its worst loss of the season. Do you feel bad about that game? You should. They're the 15 seed in the Big Ten tournament. And they came to Assembly Hall and handed the Hoosiers their worst loss of the season. A loss that might have just knocked Indiana out of the tournament. And there's one dude you need to know. And it's the Big Ten's leading scorer. It is Nick Martinelli, who Indiana could not find last time or stop or wouldn't put a double on him and just let him go one-on-one against pretty much anybody he wanted to, and just had a field day against the Hoosiers. So, would you rather play Nick Martinelli, who went for 28 last time against you in the first game of the Big Ten tournament, or against Penn State, who most people can't even tell you a player on the roster? We want to play Penn State, but it's most likely going to be Northwestern. So you need to have a defensive plan drawn up. You need to have an idea of what you want to do, and you got to find a way to win that game and get a third date with Purdue. So Northwestern and Penn State is tonight. Indiana will get the winner of that game tomorrow. We will talk about that game tomorrow as well and get you ready for Indiana's first game in a must-win scenario. Tell me if you heard that one before in the Big Ten tournament. But we are out of time on today's show. So thank you so much for being here again. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the Everydayer Club. Link is in the description below. Use the code MARCH for the first month free. You get into our Everydayer Club bracket, right? You got less than a week to get in there with cool Locked On merch up for grabs as well. So we are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.